Oh, okay.
No, I think we are on now. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another live episode of Fangirlz Assemble. We are very excited to bring this episode to you because we are joining by a very exciting and awesome guest with us today. But before we get to her, I'd like to remind everyone for inkstocktrades.com, where you can go and get all your comics trade collected editions for up to 50% off. It's free shipping of to $50 and above in United States. And you can, whatever your heart desire, Marvel, DC, Image, Dynamite, Dark Horse, everything is available on there, even 2 weeks before you can get in Amazon. And they have excellent customer service. We love Emily over there, who we have mentioned before, who will track down your UPS driver if anything's wrong with it. She knows, she provides an excellent customer service. So please go to instocktrades.com to buy all your collected editions comic book. All right, so now that's out of the way, we would like to introduce our guest. We cannot be excited enough. Harriet Glickman. How are you doing, Harriet?
I'm doing very well, and I'm really pleased to be on. I really am. I'm impressed with what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. So those of you who are joining us and, not too familiar with Harriet's history, Harriet was the one who reached out to Charles Schulz back in civil rights movement just after days of MLK assassination. And she inspired him to introduce the character of Franklin, one of the black characters in Peanuts comic strip, a beloved Peanuts comic strip. And, once we found out her history, her story, we had to talk to her. And that's what today's episode is going to be all about. We're going to talk about importance of representation in media, what it means, what it meant back then, and what it's meaning right now. So, Harriet, to get us all started, tell us your experience. How did the idea of reaching out to Charles Schulz came to you? What was the process? How did it all come to be?
Okay. It was 1968, excuse me, and it was, as you say, just a few days after Martin Luther King had been killed. But that was not the key.
Okay.
For me, it was all the years behind that I had experienced, not as a Black person myself, but the reading that I had done, what I've read about in the newspapers, the terrible things that have happened. And if you go, it's very hard for your generation, I think, at this point, to understand that for Black people, they could not drink from the same water fountain. They couldn't use the same toilets that white people use. They couldn't sit at the same lunch counter. And there were all of these attempts, people who came forward to try to make it. And every time they did, much of the time, they were beaten down. It was a very physical thing in many ways. I don't know if you remember the story of little Ruby Bridges. He was a 6-year-old girl. A little bit of noise. The 6-year-old girl who was going into a newly integrated school. There were only going to be 5 kids admitted at this time. And so the other kids' parents decided it would be too difficult. So little Ruby, this tiny girl in a pinafore, followed by federal agents, went into the public school. At which point, many of the white parents withdrew their children from the school. There were many teachers who would not teach the class if Ruby was in it. And there was one teacher that I read about recently who made it her job to be Ruby's teacher and stayed with her. And it's interesting that within the last year, there was an interview with her as an adult, obviously, talking about some of her experiences. You might want to to Google her sometime to know a little about that. It was a time when, particularly in the South, I've told you all the things that Black people could not do, but the demonstrations were followed by police. In some cases, they would use hoses on anybody, men, women, and children. They would bring out dogs to chase them. The first march on the Selma Bridge, from Selma, on the bridge, anyway, ended in great violence. And then there was a second one that was successful years later. I'm pleased to see that you had the March book, because it's the story of it's the story of John Lewis. But my feeling is that since comics have become such an important thing for young adults, that this would be excellent to have that story told. And I would love to see it in middle school, and I'd love to see it in high school, because that's the age where I think they could get to understand some of the violence and some of the dangers and some of the personal pain that was felt by so many people at that time. So that's it. And the years up to that point when I had been integrating with things that were going on that led to my letter. One day I thought, well, that's sad that Martin Luther King died, and I'll write a letter. No, it was my entire life up until then and since.
So you yourself was a teacher, correct?
I was a teacher. Actually, at the time I wrote the letter, I had my 3 kids, and the youngest was 3. So I had retired from teaching at that point. And then later I had 2 or 3 other careers, which doesn't matter. But so I was not actually in the classroom at that time.
Okay. So, and the thing is, like, reading up your story, it looks like it wasn't just Charles Schulz you wrote to. You wrote to a lot of different people.
Right.
So how was it that Charles was the first person who reached out to you? How kind of that worked out?
Well, there was a script that ended many, many years ago called Mary Worst, which was very popular. And they had Alan Saunders and a partner were the writers. And he took my letter very seriously. And we exchanged a lot of letters. What he said was that he and his partner had thought about it, but that they were afraid that the syndicate would drop them if they did it. That's how important that kind of thing was. And as a matter of fact, when Franklin appeared, the syndicate received a letter from a Mississippi newspaper that said, please do not send us any more strips with black and white children in a classroom together, because we're having forced fussing and it makes it very difficult. And so that was one of the things. There were many articles that came out in magazines, radio, and it was quite a moment, believe it or not. One little tiny figure.
Right.
And so it was well received by some. It was criticized by others. He said he's such a neat little character, and he's a good boy, and why don't you make him more real? And I think Schulz gave it a lot of thought and decided that the best way to make him a friendly, warm, smart little boy with the other kids. And that's the, and there's so many stories. We probably had another question. You're going to ask me something. Okay, I'll keep talking.
No, keep going.
Please.
Yeah, years since, I've had this moment of meeting young people in their late 40s, 50s, who said that it meant so much to them when they finally saw someone in the script that looked like them. And it's not just, I'm not just making it for one experience. I must have heard from or run into at least 15 or 20 people. There's another comic strip that's in the LA Times right now called Jumpstart. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
No.
the cartoonist is an African American man named Rob Armstrong, and he was 6 years old when he first saw it, and he said, "I remember running to my mother, his mother, to say, 'Mama, Mama, look, there's somebody who looks like me.'" And he felt encouraged by that because he actually wanted to be a cartoonist, and so he went in. He began to communicate with Schulz, and sent him some of his work and so on. And at one point, Schulz called him and said, "I just want to let you know that I'm going to use your last name." So it's Franklin Armstrong. That's Rob Armstrong. And
Nice.
I met him for the first time last week, and it was wonderful. And as a matter of fact, you might want to call him.
Now we do.
Yeah.
Now we do.
He's wonderful. He's charming. He can do stand up. So I will send you his phone number.
Right. Connections for the next,
Enjoy it. When this is sort of interesting. When my letter came out, a fellow named Nat Gertler wrote a book called The Peanuts Collection. And in it, he included my complete letter, and he has what Peanuts meant, what Franklin meant. And so when we first saw it, I thought, oh, it's kind of open to the public. But actually, I had only 2 responses. One of them was from a man named William Bell in Cincinnati, and he was on the police force, and he was in charge of diversity training for the police.
Okay.
And so he was fascinated by this. He had one whole section he called the Franklin discussion. He began doing programs for young people in the library about diversity in comics, and he introduced the Franklin character. And he was so sharp that he contacted the Schulz Museum and said, "I think you should have a Franklin exhibit." Now, this was a number of years ago, and in time they actually did, and that's what is being celebrated now is the 50 years of Franklin. And so he was very excited about that. He's a great guy, and that's the kind of thing that cheered me up. Also, there was a letter that the Schulz got, and they showed it to me, which to me was so powerful. The Vietnam War was going on at that time, and he received a letter from an African-American soldier in Vietnam whose name was Franklin. And he said, he wrote, "When I opened up the paper this morning," he said, "I couldn't believe it, and I can't tell you what that meant to me." And so those kinds of things are so important. At the museum, we have a whole panel of letters that we got right after it came out from adults. Handwritten letters in ink, no emails, about what this meant to them and how pleased they were and what an important thing they think it is. So that's sort of the background. And as a matter of fact, this week, I got a letter from a man in Missouri and from a woman in Arizona. I guess there's been more publicity because of the 50 years, so they may have I guess they did an interview with me on CBS, so they might have seen that. But I don't know how they got my address, but I'm not going to ask. I should let you ask a question, or if there's anything. I could talk forever, so don't worry.
We would love to, like, we would love nothing more. So during the first initial, like, you know, introduction of Franklin, were you involved, were in correspondence with Charles Schulz? Because from what I read about it, like, he was a little bit hesitant on how to make sure that Franklin is done right. So what was the process for that like?
That was, I sent the letter, and the answer that I got back was, I have thought about this, and I think it would be important, but I think, he said, Negro parents might find it patronizing. So I wrote him back, and I said, do you mind if I show your letter to some African-American parents? And most particularly a good friend of ours named Ken Kelly, who is an electrical engineer. And he wrote a beautiful letter about what it would mean. It's definitely not patronizing, that his two children would find it wonderful. And that kind of pushed Schulz enough forward that the next letter I got from him was, you'll be pleased to see the strip on July 31st. So that was pretty exciting. And it worked.
Yeah, and it's such a simple, like, you know, introduction. Like, it's just on a beach, like, you know, or like it's just a simple, like, oh, nice to meet you, Franklin. Like, and then.
And he says, Charlie asked him about his father. And he says, my father's in Vietnam, which makes him like all the other their fathers were in Vietnam. And anyway, and you never seen him in the classroom with Peppermint and Caddy. That's always fun.
And the thing is, like, I think, like, another strong point for that, at least to me, looking at it, it felt like children inherently are not racist. You know, they don't, like, they are not trained to do, like, you know, understand. To them, they're just another kid, like, right?
Exactly. We're not born with that, you know. And it's proven over and over and over again. As of today, it was almost unbelievable to me today that there are still people who are so, I guess racist is the word. And
go for it. Tell them like it is.
Wanting to be separate, totally separate. There was something on the news last night in Chicago. It was on W. The one who does the United States. And he is the black man who went to visit with the Ku Klux Klan, and they let him watch the burning of the cross. And he interviewed a number of Klan people and interviewed people. He said, they lived in Chicago. He said, we want Chicago white. We want this neighborhood to be white. They can go there, over there is. And so this is still intrinsic in our culture, much more than it should be. I think I did mention one before I suggested about how valuable I think the March comic for adults. Because young people don't know the history. I'm sure that there are stories about the plot, some things that have happened, going into prison. So many things that were painful and ugly and mean. And people move ahead, and so many hours, so many years pass. But whatever it was is why we are where we are. And part of it was some of the good stuff. When television first came on, you would never see a black face or a black woman doing the weapon or in some of the shows. And commercials, I wrote. Commercials as well. One was a couple was one with wife was back. Yeah, that was right. His wife, and they had two children, which nice playing, and it's perfectly normal. That's the point I'm trying to make. If you're showing Black people as people, and it's not a stereotype.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think you make a really good point, by the way, about March. I think this should be required reading, not only in schools, but for literally everyone. Because before I read this, I don't know that I knew all this. I was definitely not taught all of this in school. And this showed me a firsthand encounter of the terrible things that happened. And I hope to see this in schools. I really, really do.
Well, we can all push it.
Yeah.
Let's start it. Fangirlz Assemble.
We'll start the letter campaign.
Yes.
From the people that in your audience to know about it.
Mm-hmm. I actually this is a humble brag, but I actually met Andrew Iden, who is the artist for the comic book for the March, and a lovely gentleman. We talked.
And there was another one named Nate Powell. And they had a book fair in Los Angeles, and my daughter and grandson went, and Lewis was there, so that's when they bought it for me, and he signed it for me, which is really great.
Wow, okay,
very exciting to me.
Right. So, Kristen or Maddie, do you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, I'll go. I'd love to know, after the Franklin strip came out, did you see a change among the students in your classroom?
I wasn't actually teaching them.
Okay.
Because, as I say, I had a 3-year-old and the other 2 children, so I had to stop for a while, and then I went back to work with other things. I'm losing the thread of what the question was.
Well, did you see a change, among the kids in your circle?
Yes, definitely. I mean, my own children were thrilled. My daughter was 13 at the time, and one son was 7 and one was 3. But when Disney was going to do a movie about peanuts, how many years ago? It was 20th Century Fox, excuse me, not Disney. Yeah, it's a couple of years ago. They contacted me because they saw my name at the museum and tried to get anybody who's sort of connected as part of this. And they invited me also during that time. Ken Kelly and I were invited to go to Little Rock, Arkansas, to speak at the TV Foundation Library. What? At the president? Yeah, at the presidential library. And the audience was a large number of people, a large number. And they took a lot of notes. And many of them said afterward that they were definitely going to tell the story in their classrooms. And I'll remember, this is the South. This is Little Rock, Arkansas. And part of that presentation, which I think is still very important, is that Ken told stories of his beginning when he got his degree and became an engineer and began looking for work. He had an interview in New York at one of the aircraft companies, and the interviewer said, "I really would like you to have this job, but you will never find a place to live anywhere around here." And that was when the question of housing became a very important thing in Ken's life. As a matter of fact, we have a group called the San Fernando Valley Fair Housing, which we really met regularly and looked for places where Black people were not encouraged to buy or rent and so on. And when Ken and his wife were looking for a house, probably, in California. They couldn't find one. There was a housing tract when we had moved, and it was the new buildings and new little houses, and it was charming, and there was a school close by. And Ken and Loretta wanted to move in there, but they had difficulty getting someone to show them the house.
Right.
So what he did was he had a friend, white friend, go buy the house and sign the papers, and then they moved in. This was in Gardena, California. And I remember that there was one time when the little boy was riding his tricycle, excuse me, and one of the white neighbors said, "What is that little boy doing?" And the other one said, "Riding his tricycle." And there was slowly, the Kellys made friends with some neighbors and so on. It's not all positive,
right?
And they had this same experience.
Harriet, when you talk, like, if you can just stay closer to the laptop, because I think sometimes it's the hearing can be a little bit affected. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. When the Kellys moved into the San Fernando Valley, they had the same experience, and so he had to have a white friend buy the house. And so fair housing was an issue that I cared deeply about. Our Fair Housing Council would send a white couple, they send a black couple to apply for buying the house. And we're told that, someone has already put money down on this and it's not available. Then the white couple would come and they would be told that the house was okay. And then there could be for this anyhow, that was a lot of what was going on in the Fair Housing Council. I think housing is much less of a problem now, but still definitely.
I mean, when I first read, the march, to me, I'm not from America, so my idea of America is completely from what I saw in the growing up in TV and stuff. Like, the idea that's not apartheid South Africa, but happening in America, what's happening in America back in 60s was just, very, I don't know how to explain it. Was out, really crazy.
I'm not sure.
It's like apartheid in South Africa.
Oh, right, like apartheid, right. Yeah. That's definitely true.
Jim Crow laws.
Jim Crow laws, they were called.
Right.
And since you read March, you have some of the ideas of the things that Black people could not do.
Right.
There's going to be a movie coming out that's related to the Green Book. Have you ever heard of that? Anyway, there was in 1936, there was a man named Victor Green, a Black man, and he realized that there had been, this was after the war, there were more Black people were getting jobs. As a result, they were buying cars, and then they were going and traveling through the country. And in many parts of the country, particularly in the South, there were places they could not be served. So he put out the Green Book that says, in this city, this hotel will take you. There's the barbershop that will take you, the gas station, the beauty shop, the restaurants, and those were the ones that you went to because you knew that you would not be allowed into the others. As a matter of fact, this is the Green Book, and you can actually order it. This was the 1940 edition, and then there are some that came out a little later in the 60s. And after that, it was interesting. The most recent in the late 60s was places you can go in Europe or in the Caribbean. So things were changing. But there is going to be a movie made about the Green Book. And I like people to know about it because people of my generation, and I'm 91 years old, people have no idea what was going on at that time. This week, I showed the book to someone who was stunned. There were also places called sundown cities where you had to be off the streets or out of the city by sundown. You couldn't be there after dark. They're fascinating stories.
No, I know, and the thing is, like the fact it actually kind of gives more weight to your contribution, because it was all this was going on, and then you pushed like Charles Schulz because now if we say that, oh yeah, like a black character in Peanuts, like, I mean, I was telling you yesterday about it when we were doing our first test run, that it's like the thought didn't even cross my mind that that's something that needs to be talked about. It's like, oh, okay, he's there. But once you hear the background and how it came to be and everything, it's just like mind blowing. Like you're like, wow, it's not as easy as it looks.
When I was talking about the other cartoonist who did Mary Worth, I don't think I finished that. He said, I think I told you, he said he and his partner had thought about it. Am I repeating myself on this one?
No.
That they were sure that the syndicate would drop them if they did. I mean, they'd lose their job. And as a matter of fact, when Schulz was deciding to put Franklin in, the head of the syndicate said to him, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And his answer was, "Either you print it as I do it, or I quit." So that was a good story.
Right. All right. Well, Kristen, Maddie.
Okay. So when we first heard about your story, and we mentioned before that we, especially the group of the three of us, really talk about how important is the changes, the push for diversity and representation in comics and media, especially positive representation of a lot of people, how much that means to us. And so when we heard about your story, we started to kind of talk amongst ourselves, what could we do now to kind of make those same pushes that you did? And I wondered if maybe, from what you went through and did, if you had any advice for people today like us, what could we do to make those same changes?
I would love to talk about that. I thought about it a great deal. And you three have a sweet, charming show that you're doing. And as it grows, you can give it more depth. You can give it as much depth as you want. I mean, I love the giggles and the laughing and stuff, some of the comics that you showed. But you could have a little piece of your show each time that deals with it or talks about it. That, for example, a lot of the young people that I know now, I have 3 grandsons. They're 20, 22, and 24. And they're so involved with what's going on now. They're so concerned about it, that the encouragement of young people like yourselves to get involved. There are so many problems that need help, and you can't fix all of them. I picked one little thing to make a difference, and it could be the environment, which is scary enough. It could be the elections. It could be something in your own city, within the city government. But I think the conversation among young people like yourselves is great. Don't give up the fun part, because if you're young, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Have fun. It's not so much fun in it. But anyway, that's my suggestion. That what I would like anybody to take from this story.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we try our best. That
but you have an audience. That's what I mean. Is to encourage your audience. And every one person can make a difference. That's always been my story about Franklin. This little tiny character made a difference. And so many other things can as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we definitely aspire to. I mean, we were chatting just before the show started that sometimes, even now, there are people who doesn't seem to understand that the necessity of representations, importance of representation in media and things that this kind of thing. And I think a lot of that comes from not knowing the past or not knowing the history.
Right.
And yeah, and certainly we strive to do a little bit better. Like, you know, bring a little bit more joy.
And I know that comics have been one of the ways where you've seen more diversity. And
Right.
it's coming in that way, let it come in whatever way it can, or the Black Panther movie, and so which you would never have seen when I was first, I was young.
Right.
So things are changing, but it's not easy, particularly when the White House is not exactly the role model for what we want to see.
Shots fired. Oh my God. Shots fired. But hashtag the truth. Well, I am like, I'm so excited and happy and excited to have finally met you and talked with you. And it was truly inspiring, and especially like hearing all the story that how one little tiny character that was introduced with "Nice to meet you, Franklin" changed so many people's lives, and the fact that you are the reason we have that. You started it,
and it makes me feel wonderful. It really does. And so I'm so pleased that you asked me, and I appreciate it. And we'll probably be checking your podcast after this.
Oh, that's a good motivation for me not to swear too much, because I try my best.
I know the way. I was very careful. I didn't use any of them tonight.
That's okay. Now you all heard it here. I have full blessing from Harriet to swear like a sailor, but. All right, Maddie.
I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, and that is perfect advice for our show, and we will definitely strive to do that every single show. I think just talking about representation in general is incredibly important, and you have inspired us that one person doing one thing, even if it's just writing a letter, even going out there and fighting against what's right, fighting for what's right, is just amazing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And lots of success on your show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having us, joining us. Sorry, we're already here. Thank you so much for joining us. But we'll definitely keep in touch. And, it's like, thank you once again.
Have a great night.
Yeah, have a great night. All right.
Okay.
There it goes.
All right. So that was Harriet Glickman, who came to kind of inspire us about, about her contribution to Peanuts Gallery by introducing Franklin, and kind of gave us some real, really. I don't know what you girls think. I thought I'm feeling very inspired right now.
I'm feeling really like a fangirl. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so great.
I know. I think I'm gonna cry forever about this. And I've mentioned you guys before that I do cry all the time, and I feel like it's amazing that I'm not sobbing uncontrollably right now. The whole time she was talking, I was like, I can't believe this is amazing. Oh gosh, it was wonderful. It was so nice to talk to her. And I felt really shy and nervous still, but it was so nice. Just I could listen to her talk all day. And honestly, I think
she should have her own show.
She should. We need a Fangirlz Assemble trip over to go see her in person. Oh, it was amazing. And I don't know, just hearing that was wonderful. And it just made me even more, I guess, motivated. And, it's still something that really matters to me a lot. It's something I think about a lot, and how there's a character out there for everyone, in comics. and there should be. And one character can make the difference for any person, just being able to find yourself in someone lifting and can really make that change. And people may not think of it that way. I think a lot of people are like, okay, whatever, it's fiction, it's a story, but that's not, it's so much more than that. In any version of media, not just comics, but movies or video games or whatever, but finding that one person you can connect to can change a lot for you. And that's been my case my whole life. Anytime I'm going through something and I find some character that really speaks to me, it means so much. And for anyone not to have that, that breaks my heart. And so I hope that we constantly are getting these positive characters that can really people can connect to and relate to. And I'm just going to cry forever about it. So
okay, so Maddie, start crying. Because Gabe said that he will start crying if you start crying. So
I'll cry.
So let's all cry together for the next half an hour. So Chris, I think this is a perfect segue to kind of move into our next the topic that we wanted to talk about. We keep talking about it, representation and what it means, because I think there is a disconnect at some and I'm hesitant to say it, but the thing is, frankly, I have seen it majority of the time coming from straight white male, from we call them fanboys, that there's this commentary that, oh, I don't need it, or why a character's sexuality, character's race, character gender is important, or that whole thing about why does it matter, or why does fictional character matters to you. So I would like to start the conversation with something that I have been thinking about, because this is very personal to me. So I worked in Richmond, Virginia for 2 years, and those of you, it's a lovely city, everything's perfect, but I worked in relatively south in Hopewell, Virginia, and it's the capital of Confederate times and all civil. I'm not too familiar with Civil War stuff, so there is a lot of discrepancy between. There is still unspoken black versus white, the white versus another race kind of thing. I'm not saying that you're not gonna be accepted in a restaurant or nothing like that, but there is a certain discrepancy. So I am an engineer. I've mentioned it before, and I worked with a lot of operators. The operators were not necessarily especially white operators. They wouldn't be someone who would know someone like me. So I am from a Muslim background, and to my face, I was told that I am cool for a Muslim.
Oh my God,
that
what does that even mean?
So hear me out. What it meant to them is, and then I actually thought about it, that at first I was like, huh? First of all, I am not the perfect example of being Muslim. Kamala Khan is an example of Muslim. I am not. I'm less than stellar. If there was, they saw me that, oh, that's representing us. No, that's no good. So what I'm trying to say is, then I kind of then I was like, I didn't know how to react to that. But then I kind of thought about it. Their idea of a Muslim person, especially for a Muslim woman, is someone who's wearing the whole niqab and everything, and who is not independent, or that's the idea that has been kind of ingrained in them, and most of it come from media, either whatever news channel or however they're being portrayed in TV or in movie. That's what they know. So for them to see someone like me, and those of you who met me know I am kind of little larger than out there kind of personality, to see that, and then for that girl to say that, oh yeah, I'm Muslim, and then wait, what? So to them it was a shock, and that's because they never met more Muslim people to know that just the same way as white people. There's difference. I'm not saying this is me, like this is the only option you're gonna get. There's a wide range from Death to America to all the way to I love America. Like, you know, like there's like this whole range of Muslim people that's available. Like, you know, the thing is, like, my dad, he's an excellent, like he's always been like, you know, for empowerment, you know, getting education, doing your own thing. To hear from one of them, your dad didn't marry you off at the, like, you know, marry you off when you became a girl, like, which is in a way, it's like, what do you mean when you become, like, you know. So to hear that, and that's, to me, is like, that's when I'm like, yeah, we need more Kamala Khans out there. This is not working out for us. So anyway, so that's kind of my whole rant about why I think representation is important.
And now, yeah, so not just, yeah, so if you have the more characters you see, I feel like it doesn't just matter for the people that identify with it, but also as a way to educate people or remind people that don't interact with diverse people or situations every day, like, hey, by the way, so like people can be anything, like, or anyone. It doesn't matter what they look like or their background. They can be anything, and that's what comics are great for in Kamala Khan, because like she's just your usual like geeky teenage girl that happened to get powers, and also she writes fan fiction. Like, she could be anyone. Like,
right. And that's the thing, though, like, that's what I was. Like, I was a Muslim girl who was writing fan fiction that involved a lot of abs. Like, I'm just saying. And the thing is, like, before she was introduced, I don't think a lot of people were giving much thought to that, or, you know, so yeah.
Right. Or they were just writing like one type of Muslim character in comics, like the same kind of background.
Right.
Character.
And, you know, let's not even go what kind of background we were expecting. Like, you know, it's like a very specific, that terrorist number 4
Yeah.
kind of role. But anyway, Kristen, what's your view on this representation?
Well, you know, specifically, I would love to talk about what we've kind of all been talking about this week, which is Ruby Rose.
No. What happened to her?
I feel like we've got to talk about it. But Batwoman is a show that's going to happen on the CW. Everyone watching probably already knows. But Ruby Rose, who is a member of the LGBT community, Batwoman is too. She was cast to play Batwoman. Apparently, she was harassed so much she left Twitter, which is understandable because who wants to deal with that? And even in our nice, inclusive group that we're all part of, we are still getting people who are like, why does this matter? Why does it matter that she's LGBT, playing an LGBT character? And my thought is, because it makes sense, but own voices matter. When it's someone who's, you know, yes, representation of all kinds matters, but when it's someone who actually can understand that experience that is specific to that group of people or person or whatever, it super matters. And it super matters for her. She's been doing interviews where she's been talking about, hey, if I saw a superhero who was gay on TV when I was a kid, my life would have changed. And that's the case for so many kids and people now still who have not come out or like just do not see that ever. It matters. I don't know I don't know how people don't get this, but it matters.
Well, at the very least, you know, because I posted that in our group. And it's just very neat. Yeah. And I just, and everybody immediately is like, I don't understand why this matters, or, you know, why we're always like cherry picking all of this to make sure there's enough. One guy literally said, like, no, I can't repeat it. It upsets me. But like, why do we have to cherry pick to make sure there's enough like women or gays or whatever, as they said? it's just like the SJW agenda or the LGBT agenda. I'm like, why can't we just be excited about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe you're not. Maybe it's not a big deal to you. That's fine. But like, if I'm just like, oh, hey, it's really exciting for me to see a queer person play a queer person, don't just immediately go, well, I just don't understand why we have to force the SJW agenda, why they have to be gay, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it matters. And like, there's some people comments talking right now about how it's not just about creating diverse content, it's about having those people from those backgrounds, from those minority backgrounds, being a part of the creative process. It matters a lot to make sure that you're getting accurate representation, because those are the people who are going to fight for accurate representation in that media. So like, not just like the people, not just actors, but the writers or the artist, etc., to ensure that you're getting the correct product. Because sure, we've had people write different characters before. That's not entirely new, but we've seen it be done wrong before too. You know, like, yeah, it can super do that. Man, and people still, isn't it amazing?
It's
you
crazy.
just want to be excited about a queer woman playing a lesbian character. It's really cool, and everyone's like, I just can't believe that the gays are taking over again. Where are the roles for straight white men? Why are they taking over?
So I have a comeback for that I was like, I wanted to post that, but then I'm like, now the show, where the straight white men can find their role. They can be the love interest for straight white women. So get that, like, you know, boom. Because sorry, your mom's watching. But that's the thing, because I'm like, because there's also another thing. Oh, back in my day, no one cared. You know why no one cared? Because we didn't have a voice. That's why you didn't hear about it. We were still bubbling. Yeah, we were still bubbling inside, and we're still mad about it. But we didn't have a voice. Now we have the social media, so that's the same way. We get to hear your dumb stuff. You get to hear ours. Deal with it. Z formation. You've been Z'd.
Well, and I have to bring up the fact that it's still, and it also super matters that she is a member of the LGBT community and having this role, because for such a long time, one, she couldn't talk about that. Just in history, she would not be able to talk about that for fear of being fired even. In many states still, you can be fired for your sexuality. That's
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because for the people who are watching it, it's not like anyone could have played her. That's true. You know, you can have it if you can act and you can play a character, sure. But like, sure, maybe I see a gay character on TV. I'm like, oh, that's great to see representation. That's wonderful. But then I hear that someone representing that gets to actually play it. I'm like, that is really cool. There's a chance, a real life chance, a solid chance, not a fictional chance, but I can feel that I can succeed. You know,
exactly.
Like, that is awesome. I don't know. I've got so many thoughts.
no, keep talking about that thought. That's what we're going to talk about. But the thing is that the other things that I don't understand is like why people just don't scroll past. Like, you know, just like when I say scroll past, I mean, because I'm always I'm looking at all my social media with my phone, or just like, why does it matter for you to stop, be angry about it, or send like an angry tweet at the person who's going to be playing it? Something that, you know, before we just talked with Harriet, she was talking about people were writing pen and paper and then putting it in the I think that was a better day. Like, you know, you are angrily writing it, like rage, putting it in the envelope, and
when your hand starts cramping, you're like, maybe this isn't worth it.
Licking the stamp, putting it on the thing, and then just going. So I'm exhausted. But what I'm saying is like, and then now you can just send, like, you know, why do that? Because, you know, like, I'm just gonna come out and say, I don't like Spider-Man. I don't like Peter Parker. But the thing is, like, at no point I ever said, Peter Parker should not be published anymore. Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even cross my mind. I'm like, okay, you all love Peter Parker. You can have him.
Yeah, it makes you happy.
Great. And then meanwhile, I'm going to be here palling around with my Kamala Khan and Carol Danvers. while you get to swing or whatever it is that Peter Parker do. Like, why does it?
Well, I wish we could at least have a debate that it's not so like, I don't know, rude. Like,
no, it's
I just
fine.
often we have these conversations, and I'm like, if you have a weird feeling about this character being cast, maybe this is something we can sit down and discuss. Maybe we can kind of figure out what's the root of your problem. Not that, and it's hard for me to do because I don't understand why at all. Because to me, that's a wonderful thing. But I understand that some people have a lot of growing to do. Maybe they see this character there and they're like, oh, someone's taking away a role from me. There's a show that I don't see myself in, and they have to learn to come to grips with that. Unlike other people like us who have for a long time haven't seen ourselves represented in media, right? So maybe they need their hand held for a little bit so we can talk about it. But it's always just like immediate, just people like that always say it in such a rude, awful way, just like an antagonistic, let's not talk about it. And both sides do as well. But I always try to like talk to people and be like, okay, well, I think it's really great because of this reason. Right. Maybe like I'm not gonna say that you're crazy and wrong and awful. I'll say that separately in my chat with my girls about how angry I am.
Behind your back, yeah.
Yeah, because like maybe like I remember when She-Ra changed, right, recently.
Oh my god.
That was a big hullabaloo. And I see this person's this post about it, and I'm like, well, I super disagree, and I think that your tone is incredibly negative and awful. So instead of like talking to you about that, I'm just like, hey, I think it's really great. She's been revamped, and I think she's an even easier model for young girls today. That's really awesome. Also, she has shorts on. She should have shorts. She's fighting people. You guys don't understand how difficult it is to fight in skirts. It's very difficult. I'm sure she feels a lot better having shorts on now. That's awesome.
Did she send you an email telling you that?
She texted me about it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. How do you know this? Like, it's comfortable. Well, we know that Maddie likes cosplay, so she can probably tell us.
I do. Okay, so real quick, I know I'm probably rambling, and maybe that's just because it's been a week of Batwoman issues. But this is like in the same vein as representation. And I was thinking about it when you were talking about Muslim characters in media, and how we talked about how a lot of characters tend to fit one mold, but it's nice to see characters like Kamala Khan, some other characters in comics, kind of branch that out a bit. And for the cosplay community, there's cosplay all over the world,
right?
And something that's been really I've seen a lot more the past couple years is wear hijab or head covers, and how they utilize that for their cosplay, which is really neat. They still make their conservative sense work for their cosplay, and they still find ways to really enjoy it. So they'll use instead of having the wig, have change the color of their head wrap to match that character's color, and then change the outfit a little bit to change to match that character. And even though they can't do the exact same cosplay, they want to show their appreciation and change it into something that's comfortable for them. And it's so awesome and beautiful and amazing, and I'm so in love with all of it. And that's a really cool change now to see people connect with the characters in that way.
Next time you see someone like that, please stop them, take a picture, and then send it to me, because I would love to kind of highlight that. Because I mean, even as a Muslim person, I don't wear hijab. It's something that I don't practice, but my mom does, and it's something that I'm kind of still figuring it out. But the thing is, there's this whole idea of that. We hear stories about people have their hijab yanked out, and it's just go back to that's kind of, it's okay, it's one thing. First, you're saying that, oh, okay, all these people, why? They're just going about doing their business. It's probably a completely different thing. But yeah, so the thing is, but because what I'm trying to say is that because the representation is not right, is not done right, people get this idea that, this hateful reaction to this, because, it's considered to be something that they are not used to.
Right.
Right. So, and to that, like, to that whole topic about two different molds, there was another issue that came out, like, same with Ruby Rose. And that to me is like, first of all, she was attacked for being too gay. Then she was also being attacked in Tumblr community, which I always thought to be more, more on the open side for being too, like, not being gay enough, or the fact that straight girls love her. I think she's an attractive woman. I mean, I don't subscribe to that whole thing about I would go gay for her, but hey, if she hits me up, I wouldn't say no. But the thing is, it's not her fault that I am reacting to that. Then the last thing that was mentioned, and to me, I've been actually giving more thought to that than anything, that she's not Jewish. That because Kane is Jewish, but she's not. Once, because I have something to say about that. What's you ladies' thought about that?
That part's difficult. So, that's hard, right? Because, like, it'd be great if they did find somebody that completely checked off all the boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still think we can be happy with the casting and be excited about it still.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we had found somebody to the T exactly like that, that's really great. But I don't think it's worth... I mean, like, I don't think you should bring it down completely just because they didn't get all of it right. Like, because I think that's not always the easiest. But then, I don't know. That's one of those things that's like, I don't know what's the correct thing to say about that either.
I feel like that's totally different, though, because you can't change your skin color or your sexuality, but you can your religion. Like, that's something you choose.
So this is something that I was actually talking with my friend Peter, who is actually on the chat, and what he made me aware of, that Jewish thing is a genetic, like, it's like there is a certain...
It's more cultural, right? Yeah.
Right. It's a different... And I'm not the best person to talk about religion, so please forgive me if I am being offensive. But the thing is, like, so that's one of the reasons that it's more different than, let's say, that for other religion, it would be that you can change your faith. But for me, the only problem is the people who are saying, and I don't know who they are, or I don't know if they have read the comic. Only reason I know that she's Jewish because her father was talking to her cousin who was unconscious, said that I haven't stepped into a synagogue in a long time. That's her only Jewishness. There was a couple of other times there were 2 menorahs displayed in her bat cave, like in her cave. And there was a whole thing about, like, that getting wrong and things like that. But when I read her every run, starting with the Greg Rucka, then the J.H. Williams and Hayden Blackman's, to the current Margaret Bennett's run, I'm up to date with everything I've read. I never thought she was a religious person, that I didn't thought that her religion is important to her. Her gayness, definitely, because the girl was kicked, left the academy, left army because she didn't want to lie about her sexuality. So, but her Jewishness, I didn't think that was important. As opposed to Kamala Khan, for her characters, it's important. Because she frequently visits and goes and sees her cleric for spiritual, or for example, Daredevil. Because I literally actually looked for, I'm like, is Charlie Cox Catholic? Why aren't we talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, and some people are talking in the chat about how it's more, like, some people, it's just more cultural. It's cultural importance over the religious importance, which I do see a lot of people. I have friends that they call themselves more like Jewish adjacent because they don't practice, but they have a lot of Jewish family members. So they're very aware of the culture. But I'd love to be educated by someone from that background to see kind of like how they feel about it. But I do see where if casting a character more so based on what they show to be important to them, which is hard too, because that's also based on the writer and how they choose to do that. Because I could see someone be like, okay, well, I feel like I can write a lesbian character, but I don't know how to, respectfully write that part of her life. And so that can probably have an effect on what we see to be there, like the importance of that too. So I don't know.
The thing
It's
is,
tough for me to have that connection, because I wouldn't care if somebody was like, because my family's all Catholic, and that's a big thing for me. And I don't really practice that much. That's something that I have my own things about that. But like, as far as culturally, I mean, we have a very long-standing Catholic tradition in our family. But I wouldn't care whether the actress was Catholic or not. But that's it. I mean, my level of, I don't know what everyone's religious experience is either, so I don't know.
Because the thing is, though, in Rebirth, she is now Batman's direct cousin, like, maternal cousin, right? So in the Jewish culture, if it's a maternal, like, the Jewishness is passed through the maternal line, apparently. I don't know much about it, but then again, which means Batman is now Jewish. Bruce Wayne is now Jewish. So is Ben Affleck Jewish?
Well, and I think there's a lot to be said about that, because it's like, yes, there's a cultural thing. Like, I have a friend who was raised Jewish. His mother was Jewish. Total super atheist, though. But, he understands, being raised in such a culture. So if Ruby Rose were raised like that, but she was really atheist now, would that matter? If she just converted a year ago and was now part of the Jewish faith, would that matter? Like, where do you draw that line, right?
Right, and that's the whole reason I bring it up, because I feel like people just don't know how to have nuanced conversation anymore. It's always one way or the other. So I just wanted to
and some people like to bring up the missing parts to bring down something too.
Right.
To be like, oh, well, this is really cool. It's an LGBT character. Like, well, she's not Jewish. But maybe the inverse would be like, oh, they got a Jewish character or a Jewish person to play a Jewish character. And I feel like we'd still be having a similar conversation where we're still like, oh, that's really neat. That's really cool. And then somebody's like, oh, well, but is she queer though? And like, oh, okay, we can still be excited about one thing. And we wouldn't have had this conversation at all if she fit in either of those boxes. But we'd still be like, oh, it's neat that there's Batman.
But do you think that but what really kind of got me is that the fact that she was attacked for not being gay enough or not being too gay.
Which I think is ridiculous. Like, well, that's the, gosh.
That's just
I'm rambling.
Stuff in that
happens
too, which is everywhere.
That happens a lot. And you see this a lot on Tumblr too, with people that normally I would think, because we have common interests, we'd agree on. Right? And sometimes even people in that same community will bring something down because it doesn't fit their boxes of something, which is really unfortunate because, and I don't know what Ruby Rose identifies as. I just refer to her as queer because I assume she is queer. I don't know if she's lesbian or what. But regardless, she still matters. She still fits into the LGBT spectrum.
She still likes women.
She still likes women.
Which is the point, right?
And and we see a lot of that kind of issue. It's like, well, she's just bisexual, so she's not one way or the other. Why is she playing? That's happened in the community as well. So when you have news like this, a lot of people just don't want to be happy about it. Why can't you just take the victory and be like, okay, cool. It doesn't have to be the end of it. It doesn't mean we don't need to fight for more. But it's still really cool. Can't we just be happy about it? Because both sides are like, well, but it's not this. Or, well, but she's not this. Like, it's still cool. And she's not even the first one on CW.
But the thing is, like, do you think it's something that because she's a woman, she's facing this added?
Yes. I feel like you don't always see the same with men.
No.
And including gay men, I feel like a lot of times I don't always see.
No, I never heard anyone say Neil Patrick Harris wasn't gay enough.
I was literally going to say that.
Because, How I Met Your Mother, if you see Barney, he's like the bro. Like, and no one ever said, he's too gay to play this character. Or people didn't know probably at that time, I don't know. Or they were not in the internet. I don't know. What was it?
I see with women a lot of times even, it's just, I don't know what that's about. I know what that's about.
But someone on the chat was also saying this, like, not only it's about representation, it's about good representation, but at the same time allowing to fail. Because I don't think that's something that we, like, if you are like there, you're not afforded to that. Because when the Wonder Woman was coming out, oh my God, this movie must have 100% Rotten Tomato or no other women movie were made. Versus the same year ago, we had Batman versus Superman, and we still have Justice League with the dumb mustache or lack of. But it's like, I never heard that, oh my God, we're never going to make a Batman movie again because the other Batman movie sucked. Like the thing is, but the Wonder Woman had so much added on top of it. I was getting hyperventilating. I was checking my Rotten Tomatoes to say, please be good. Like, because I was getting hyperventilating. Like I was. Even now, like, and Captain Marvel's coming up. I know that by March comes out, I'm going to be hyperventilating again because of this.
Because you're like, if this fails, we're screwed. Because everyone's like, well, you had your chance.
Exactly. And the same with Black Panther. Yeah. Like when Black Panther was coming out, I'm like, please be good. Please be good. And the thing is like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this is kind of like we talked about Nanette last week. And I think Nanette brings up that again. Like, it's just, this is, if you're kind of forced into like your entire life, you grew up to be that way. It just becomes like this. Like you are just so worried about these things. That's I don't know. I mean, I don't know how someone who's not in our situation would feel. Well, I'm done ranting. You guys can talk.
No, I have a question for you guys. I'm a little bit of a different, because I feel like sometimes if we get, when we all get heated, you know how we get, we just keep going. And I don't know if there's like a structure to it. It's just like, I can't believe these guys. But I had some very choice, unfortunate words I would not say live about a lot of this.
Oh, your mom's watching.
Yeah, maybe she's still watching. I'm not sure. She's heard it. She's fine. And I know for you, Faria, that you had Kamala Khan, and that's a character you really connected with, and that's a situation where representation really mattered to you.
Right.
And so I want to ask you, Kristen, if you wouldn't mind sharing a character that really meant something to you in media or comics or something, like someone you really connected with.
Something not Buffy or Willow.
Hey, that's fine.
Like,
it doesn't have to be just one.
Right.
You put me on the spot. Hold on. You tell yours, I'll think.
Yeah,
you have one.
Oh, gosh.
Not Wonder Woman or Donna Troy. I'm just kidding.
Not Wonder Woman or Donna Troy. Hey.
I'm just kidding.
I had a lot growing up that meant a lot to me, and I think for a lot of different reasons. So I grew up with Sailor Moon. That's my earliest connection with someone, and Sailor Jupiter meant a lot to me because she was she's really strong, and I think strong women mean a lot to me because I don't think I've ever fit into like a dainty persona or role. I think I definitely have a lot of masculine qualities as well as feminine, and not just how I act, but my body and my face. I feel like there's the way I carry myself. And she very much had both. She was really tough and intimidating, but she was still very sweet and feminine. And that was the first foray into seeing a character that doesn't have to fit into any box. And for a woman, that's really important because you always see, I feel like when I was growing up, there's always that one type of character, and that meant a lot to me. So a lot of Japanese anime gave me that opportunity. The opportunity that I'm now seeing a lot with American comics as I read them, especially Marvel, where a woman is not just one type, and if you want to be more masculine presenting and still be feminine, you can do that. And that's what I saw with She-Hulk and Wonder Woman, that I can be strong, but I can also be feminine. And same with that. And I know you guys probably don't know these, but some people in the chat might. There's a show called Utena. It's a Japanese anime. And there's two female leads. It was the first lesbian show I watched, cartoon, very, very young. I wouldn't even known that's what it was. But the main character, she wants to be a prince. That's what she wants to be. And so she saves this woman who's supposed to be this bride, and she's always being claimed by men. She's like, no, I'm going to claim you, and we're going to team up together, and I'm going to be a prince. and she has this long pink hair, and she sword fights, and she's awesome. And I was like, that's me. I see myself in that person. You know, like, it doesn't matter. I don't know. Anyways,
So yeah,
I'm ranting.
You love Princess Ever After then?
Huh?
Princess Ever After?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's the same storyline, and you haven't read Heathen yet, right?
No, but I know that'll get me too.
Yeah,
Any sort of like, I don't know. There's so many great LGBT stories now that like I feel like have so many characters that I identify with, and I think that are really, really neat and empowering and different. They're not all the same people. There's a lot of all the women characters I see in comics aren't all the same people, and especially what we talk about too, like Unstoppable Wasp. She's hyper and so intelligent and great, and then you have Kamala Khan, who to me is a big dork, but she's still tough and stands up for what she wants. And then you've got Mockingbird, right, who's sexy and sarcastic and kicks butt. I keep naming off Marvel characters because right now Marvel's killing it.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Keep going.
But for DC, like Wonder Woman, she's really serious, but she's so caring and strong, and I keep going. I just love all these characters. It's just great.
No, but the thing is, like, you talked to Jess this morning about the same thing, that like DC, they're still maintaining their status quo. Nothing has changed. Like, why on earth, like, Barbara Gordon is still a bad girl? Why is Dick Grayson can be Nightwing, but Barbara Gordon is still Batgirl? Like, I find that to be kind of strange, and that the fact that she like, Oracle is not a thing, or everyone that this introduce are still somehow, they hold them back. Like, it's like, they're like patronizing, like, they're like, oh, you all have this, but we're going to still, like, hold on to. So that's one of the reasons, like, anytime someone says, oh, I prefer DC over Marvel, I'm like, okay.
And I love DC. I love DC
yeah,
so much.
Same here.
But yeah, Chris and I talked about something this week. So, like Wonder Woman, something I brought, I think, on the show before. Wonder Woman is bisexual. She's a bisexual woman, and they only ever bring it up. She only is ever with a woman on Themyscira. Not that she has to be. She doesn't have to be at all. That's part of being bisexual. You don't, like, you fall for who you fall for. And maybe after she came out, it was mostly just Steve or, that weird foray with Superman or whatever. But no, even, and maybe I'm missing something, but from what I've read so far, not even a mention of it at all. And I feel like, and not that it should be forced, not that they have to at all, but it would mean a lot for a lot of people to see a big DC character, right? Even just talk about it. Because if she does like a flashback to being on Themyscira, she's with a woman then. And then she leaves and that's it. And that's the case for a lot of Amazon women, with the exception from what, and I could, maybe I've missed something because I haven't read all of the DC catalog, right? With the exception of Grace Choi. Grace Choi was an Amazon that was in Outsiders, and she's currently on the show Black Lightning.
Okay.
And she gets with Black Lightning's daughter, whose name I forgot, but she's really, really cool, and she's a lesbian. And that's as much as I really see of it. Like, Artemis is the same way. Flashback, she was with a woman, she was in love. Now, not. Like, you have these bisexual characters, and they just, like, that's it. Right?
They just give you a little bit of taste and then just hold it back. But the thing is, like, the image that you shared with us with the She-Hulk and Wonder Woman, boy, I would love to see
shipping that.
No, not just shipping that. I'll just see them want them to les it out, like, and then just do whatever. But anyway, Maddie and I are rambling. So, Kristen, what's your character? Would you pick?
Did we ramble enough for you to think?
Yeah.
That was what I was doing. I was just stalling.
Exactly.
It wasn't rambling. It was just for you to have your time to think about it.
Well, I do want to comment on the Wonder Woman thing, because I feel like in any medium, bi erasure is a huge thing. And, just having her always with a guy is really kind of erasing that, right? Again, she doesn't ever have to be with a woman, but yeah, the fact that you're not even mentioning it is kind of a problem.
Kind of like Willow, when Willow started dating women, they're like, no, she's just gay.
Well,
like Joss Whedon, that's not how it works. She was still in love with men before, and guess what? She's still capable of being in love with men again.
It can happen, but yeah, she was legit in love with Oz, so it just means a problem. But anyway.
No, but also, like, with the Wonder Woman, it's like depending on who's the writer, and obviously oftentimes it's a man. She's either with Batman or Superman. You never know which direction she's going. Either she's feeling happy.
She should just be with Steve Trevor because I love him. But anyways.
Well, he has the eyes, if you're talking about Chris Pine. But the thing is, like, it's like, I feel like, I'm like, bitch, are you feeling happy or you're sad? I feel like she's feeling happy. She just goes with Batman or vice versa. Like, she's sad. She goes with Superman. I'm like, well, honey got options. So that's fine. But still, I would love to see that, one day she's just like, no, I'm picking Kate Kane. And let's see what happens with that. But anyway, back to you, Kristen. Sorry.
Okay. I was going to bring up Willow anyway, so that's a really good point, Maddie.
I had a feeling. I know you. It's Willow.
Yeah, when I was growing up, we're talking about growing up and characters we related to. But like Willow was a big thing because I was like that quiet kid often. And then she just like turned into a badass because she was always a badass. She was so smart. And then she literally tried to destroy the world, and that was cool. And like, it wasn't cool, guys. She could have killed everyone, but it's fine. She's good. But she was amazing. She was a character I hadn't like experienced before. Buffy was too, but I was never girly like Buffy. Like girly. It was never a thing.
Yeah.
And especially the first like few seasons, Willow had the overalls and she just like wore sweaters and little quirky and is great. So yeah, I love her. Now I'm gonna bring him up because I always do. But all the girls in Giant Days, I totally like relate to each one of those in different ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Every character in Lumberjanes, like they're all wonderful in their own wonderful ways. And
none of them fit into one category.
Yes, and that's the huge thing because no one person does. So the fact that you have this big cast of characters that are so diverse and so different, yet I can be like, yeah, I can relate to you in this way. Yeah, I can. I mean, it's perfect. I'm so happy that comics still exist. It's the best.
I'm so sorry that I still haven't read them. Like I have them both.
And you have like all the hardcovers.
I have all the hardcover. If people can see me, there you go. But yeah, I still haven't read them. And yeah, it's something. It's a crime that I need to fix.
Fix it, please.
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
We're gonna have one show dedicated to Giant Days and Lumberjanes.
Ooh, my favorite show.
It'd be nice to. I feel like there's a lot of those comics I'd love to talk about. Like I would love a. I mean, I don't know if we could have a talk for a whole episode, something about Katie O'Neill.
Have you met us?
Yeah.
We can talk once. We can talk.
We need one topic, that's it.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about T-Dragon Society and Princess
or
whatever it's called.
By the way, guys, she's coming out with a new book in October.
Ooh.
I can't think of the name of it right now.
Man, can we get her to Skype into? Can I just like name off all the female careers I'd love to talk to? Number one. Joel Jones. I love Doctor so bad.
I would love to. I mean, that's something that I'm kind of aspiring to. I'm trying to reach out to all of them, and I feel like once we have a couple more shows under us, and then we're like, see how awesome we are. I feel like we can get them coming as well. But today was the pilot for that, and I felt like it went really well to the point where we're talking about like diversity or representation for the last 1 hour, but it's not enough. We need to talk more about it. But anyway, is there something so do you still see that the similar, the character, like you both talked about like different types of characters that you related to as you're growing up. Do you feel like even as an adult, you're relating to same kind of characters, or there's a difference that you are seeing?
I think it changes a lot.
Yeah. And also like, there's just more out there now.
Yeah,
where I could be like, oh yeah, that's me, cool. Like, which I never saw before because there were only these kind of characters on TV.
Right. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like, because when I was growing up, I used to kind of connect to tomboyish characters because this is also like the same. Like that show Nanette. Everyone just go watch it because it said so many things. Like the fact that inherent hatred that's kind of inserted in you. Like I thought growing up, I honestly thought that being a woman is a bad thing. Being a girl is a bad thing. Like, you know, and it's not got nothing to do with the way my parents raised me. None of that. It's just like kind of what I saw, you know, kind of what and honestly, like, you know, I can't talk about it. You would never understand that unless you experience it. And by you, I don't mean you two. I mean, like, you know, general audience, like, you know, and that's, like, I thought that being a woman is a bad thing. So I would always try to, like, you know, I would aspire to be the bros girls, you know, like, you know, just, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Now, and then I was connecting to that a lot more. But now I'm like, that nonsense. Like, no, this is me. This is what you're going to get. I'm still a little bit like that, like, you know, kind of no nonsense. But I like the idea of, like, you know, just what you were talking about, being feminine and being a badass. Like, it's not an exclusive thing, because that whole idea of, like, strong female protagonist, why can't it just be strong protagonist who happens to be a female? Like, you know, kind of like that. And I feel like, so as I'm growing up more, I'm actually, like, it's okay that I'm obsessed with Chris Evans' abs, but at the same time, I'm a kick-ass engineer who just go to places and just like, you're doing everything wrong. You need to correct this. So, I mean, I don't know. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying, that do you think that as you're growing up, the models that you see, your idea of that changes?
Well, even like, you guys can't relate to this, but I have short hair. And I've had short hair since I was like in college. I was like, I'm gonna cut this off. I'm bothered by my hair. Right? I've always had really thick hair. It's a problem. So I was like, I'm gonna cut it off. And I never saw a girl on TV who wasn't acting a certain way, or, like, you know, or treated a certain way with short hair. But, like, I see that now. Ruby Rose, like, you know, like, it's such a little thing, but for a girl to have short hair, it's something. It's a thing for some reason. I don't get it. But it's
so, and the thing is, like, you also wear glasses. So I used to wear glasses. But the thing is, like, I had, like, you know, that whole thing about you have to take the glasses in order to be pretty.
Right.
Oh, my God. So
and I wore contacts for a long time.
Right.
Kind of because of that. And I was just like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm done paying for contacts. I was like,
right. I like wearing now I wear contacts because, you know, it just kind of like, I got used to it, and it's like a 360 view kind of thing. Sure. But the thing is, like, growing up, that was like, my aunt actually took me to the optometrist, like, saying that, oh, you need your ugly duckling to your swan moment. We're gonna get you contacts. Like, that was the conversation, that, you know, that we're gonna go get you a contacts. Forget that whether your eyes is gonna reject you or not, reject it or not. Thankfully, it didn't. And I literally, and this is me, overconsumption of Bollywood movies, I wore my first contacts. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so pretty. And then I'm like, wait, it was the same dumb face all this time.
No, come on.
No, but seriously though, it's just like, you know, it's just the same dumb thing. But it's just like, these are the things, that little things that your brain get brainwashed. Like, you know, it just, and then all of a sudden you grow up one day and you're like, wait, what?
Forget that.
Yeah, forget that. But, you know, to your point, like, like short hair women, and, you know, and Kate, even the Batwoman, like, she has short hair, like, you know, so.
And that's awesome. And it's such a little stupid thing, but it's awesome. Like, it's like, oh, yay.
But those things matter when there's, like, so much, and I think guys can benefit from this too, because there's been a lot of change as well, across the gender spectrum, right? For men and women, all the different characters you're seeing, there's something great about all of them, right? And I think guys have it hard too with that kind of stuff, because they have, especially with comic readers, right? There's one type of body they see. Like, it's just that same, like, you're not a superhero unless you're a ripped man, you know? Right. And then we see it too. It's like, you're not a superwoman or superheroine unless you have a.
Are you saying that you can be a male superhero without ripped abs?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I take issue with that. That is not my superhero. That is not what is acceptable. Get your SJW agenda and get out of here.
Get out of here. Okay, well, and it doesn't really fit into comics, I guess, as much, possibly, but other forms of media that I like, a lot of video games and other types, I feel like I do see a lot of diverse male bodies as well as female bodies, and I see how they're attractive in a lot of different ways. Although for comics, I see it in like different kinds, mostly not superhero comics, because I get the whole muscle thing and I love muscles. But a lot of
muscles.
A lot of independent comics or non-DC Marvel, especially things like Steven Universe, I think is a really good a really good example of that, because they have a crazy diverse amount of bodies. Like there's so many different types of bodies, and they're all celebrated, and they've all been proven that people can be, not that having someone be attracted to you is the end all be all, right? But it does mean a lot to know that somebody can appreciate the aesthetic of you, right. Or be interested in you. So you have like, the kind of the main guy in that, and not Steven, but his dad. Like, people get the hots for Greg, and he's short, and he's kind of weird looking, and not weird looking, but he's got like long hair, he's a little balding, he's got like a tummy, and one of the women was like, "You are it," and he was in love with a very tall, more like full-figured woman, and to see that kind of thing exist matters a lot. No matter what it's in, comics or cartoons or video games. Like, I love Dragon Age. That's a video game you can like date people and sleep with them.
What kind of people are you dating and sleeping with them?
I picked
Explain yourself.
My man, the first one, full beard, looks kind of tubby. I was like, that's the one. That's the one for me. He's the guy. I picked him. He's perfect.
Listen, if we start getting fan mails from tubby men with beard, I'm sending them to you now.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
I think I don't know. Everyone can be attractive to someone, and it's important to. I don't even know what point I'm getting at. Anyways, regardless, it's very good for everybody to see all different types of body types. Mm-hmm. Especially like I talked about Wonder Woman and She-Hulk. I used to think, I can't be muscly, right? I can't have muscles. I either have to be voluptuous or I have to be skinny. Mm-hmm. Those are your options as women. If you're anything else, you need to be striving to be that one thing.
No, but you can't be
I'm sure that guys have an equivalent to that.
Hang on, Maddie. You can't be too skinny or too voluptuous, because
that's true.
It has to be within a certain, which I don't know what there is, but anyway, continue.
But now I see like, oh, well, shit, these women have like muscles, or they have really big thighs, or they have whatever. I'm like, and they're still so awesome. And I can do that too. And that's okay. Like that thick Wonder Woman figure I have with this really big thighs. I was like, I have really big thighs. Mine are as big as my head too. And I was like, yes, that's awesome. And it's a Wonder Woman. And she's like, #1. That's cool. Sorry if I'm just rambling again. I feel like I'm just...
Yeah, but the thing is, see, that's the thing. Like, before Kristen pointed out, I always had longer hair. I would never understand this. For short hair seeing someone with short hair can be important to someone. And then also, you were mentioning about thick thighs. Yeah, thick thighness is a problem. Like thigh ties is something that I also have. And the thing is, like, I'm not gonna show it over here. It's pretty thick, you guys.
Well, we have this nice limited range.
It's not within the range, guys. But the thing is, like, what I'm just saying is like, yeah, but having seen that, then you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's okay too. And I think that's the thing, that it's just like different people looks at it differently. So if it's something that not working for you, just don't say that, oh, this is not important or this is not needed. Just take a moment to think about how it may affect someone else. And just live your life. Like, I just sometimes wonder, like, what it's to be like that you are so, like, so hateful, or like, not just hateful, like, the word is not hateful, the word is like so threatened. Your masculinity is so threatened all the time. Like,
all those guys have to be angry at themselves about something, right? I mean, I just don't understand.
Gotta be. Like, if you're so mad about one girl being excited because Ruby Rose got cast as Batwoman, what the hell happened to you in your life
God,
that you just can't have any joy or happiness. Same with She-Ra. Like, come on. I get it.
I didn't.
Maybe it's not what you want, but listen, I don't always get what I want in comics either, and I'm not gonna be mean to somebody or send death threats or whatever. Like, I was excited about Batman number 50. I didn't threaten anybody about it or yell at anybody about it. I just yelled at my friends privately.
Fine.
Whoa. We still have those voice messages. Like,
we kept those for evidence.
We kept, yes. Like, those were your origin story as a villain, as a DC villain. But
we should do like a fundraising thing that if we fundraise enough money, then we'll share my crazy, upset voice messages to Maria and Kristen about Batman number 50.
We're gonna share it on live. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. That if you want to hear those, you have to donate some money to some people. But even to that point is that the thing is like, to that I'm glad that, like, that's an interesting point. It's like there's a lot of things I'm angry about in the comics. Never in my life it crossed my mind that I should send death threats. Like, I hate that whole underboob scenario, or like, or that the fact that somehow people have space, like I call it, like, space band-aid or whatever it is, to kind of keep their space tits in their space.
Like how are those not flopping out? Right.
Yeah, I mean, come on,
girl. I cosplay, so I know those like outfits work out, and I still. It is amazing anyone can do anything in any of those outfits.
Like, it's just like, I mean, this whole idea that, oh yeah, look at all these characters, I gave you Wonder Woman. I'm like, yeah, but she's half naked. Like, that's not practical. Like, so we're gonna do a separate show about costume and stuff. But anyway, the thing is that what I was trying to say is, like, there's a lot of things we're also angry about. We don't do this because guess what? There's more important things in life, and we need to.
Yeah.
And just because it brings joy to someone, don't take it away. Try to take it away from them. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people who are saying that, oh, Marvel Rising, it looks suck. Okay, don't watch it. That's an option.
Yeah, it's not for you. I'm really pumped about it.
Yeah. We're pumped about it. Don't watch it. The thing is, like, oh my god, there's gonna be a Shazam movie. I don't give a fuck about it. But you know what? Good for you. Go ahead, do it. At no point I said that Shazam movie should not happen. Go for it. If you like it, go. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go watch it with an open mind because hey, they might change my mind. Like, what's this guy, Volstagg, whatever his name is? What's his name? It's gonna change my mind about him, and then I'm gonna go and buy some comics and read about it. Maybe.
Yeah. Why can't people just give things that, like, maybe you have a knee-jerk reaction about something, you know? But maybe educate yourself before you go spewing craziness about it, or maybe give it a chance and see. I'm upset about Titans. It didn't really get me. I'm still gonna try it, especially because my girl Donna's gonna be in it eventually. And it's not exactly what I want, but I think for some people that might be a great entry into comics. So I'm just gonna let them have this, even though it doesn't. I think if I was gonna make a Titan show, it would be better. Just how I think if they let me write any of the superhero movies, they would be better. They should just listen to me and only me. But that's okay. I'm not gonna beat someone up.
You can have all superhero shows, but please, for the love of God, do not take abs away from me. You're not allowed to do. You are not allowed to do that.
I like diverse bodies, but I still feel like the Avengers casting is great, and you should leave it as is.
That's right. Well, you got your tub, tub in Tony Stark.
The Dragon Age.
Oh, yeah. It's not all that. Nothing against Tony, but anyway, Kristen, do you got anything? Because I feel like you were just kind of quipping there.
I mean, what are we talking about? Bodies? What's going on?
Like,
you just keep talking about abs. I don't know what the.
I'm sorry. It's been a rambling episode. I don't know what's happening.
It's fine. It was a perfect episode. But anyway, Kristen, what do you have? Sign us off.
Sign us off. Oh no.
Not sign us off like that, but what's your closing remark for this ramble?
I think representation of all kinds, all body types and haircuts and sexualities, races and everything matter. If it's not for you, that's fine. It's for someone else. Maybe it is for you because it'll educate you. People don't seem to want to be educated anymore. Keep an open mind and enjoy things for what they are. And again, it may not be for you, but it should be, probably. That's what I think.
It looks like Maddie's cruising through the chat.
Should we end on figure out what we're going to talk about next week? Give a little hint.
Yeah, what are we going to talk about next week?
Do we
you
know?
You are the topic keeper.
I don't know. I'm the topic keeper. Oh, I do have an Excel document, guys.
Right? It's a kick-ass Excel document. It has color coding and everything.
I should really open that.
Oh, gosh. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about what we read, because I have a little stack here, and we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, me too. I also have a lot of stack.
That's good. Because we do have like an interview the weekend after, right? Are we the other big
we are
thing?
Interviewing Frank Goggle, who is our very own. He's kickstarted his own comic, which is an excellent one. I did share it with you. And then we're going to talk about him. And then, so he's coming not the next weekend, the following weekend.
Right.
So in the meantime, leave us a message over here. We are on Instagram at Fangirlz Assemble. Or we also have our email at fangirlsassemble@gmail.com. So you guys can send us a topic request. We do have a list going. So it's not that we're completely, but we're going to find something to talk about. It's not going to be as we'll try our best. We can promise that it's not going to be as rambly on that. But more importantly, Heathen Volume 1 is currently on sale in instocktrades.com at 50%. Typically this goes for 25%, but now it's off for 50%. Only at like $8,
right? No?
Yeah, this is $15.99, so it's gonna be somewhere around $7.98. See, I told you I'm an engineer.
Nice.
And
we'll be doing our review of that the first weekend of September.
Right, September 2nd, we'll be talking about it. And speaking of, this is talking about representation, a different type of, characters or the thing, genre defining. This is it. This is where we can definitely discuss about it. But, so we're going to find, we're going to see what we can talk about, and we will come back with, more entertaining, same entertainment-filled, rambly episode week after week at 8 p.m. EST.
All the quips.
Discussion about abs, because we might actually have a game. Every time I say abs, take a shot. Take a shot of your choice. Let's make it a regular thing. And and see if you if I can get one person for alcohol poisoning, I know that I've done my job right. I've talked about it adequately. But just saying. Go to our sponsor at instocktrades.com, where you can buy all kinds of collected editions, DC, Marvel, in Image, everything for up to 42% off. If you have a frequent customer, you can get 2% off for the following week after your purchase. It's free for United States shipping for $50 and above, and Emily is awesome. That is, it's not on our contract to say that, but we have to. We feel like we're obligated to say that Emily is awesome.
She is.
What just happened?
Someone breaking in?
No one's breaking in.
Oh my God.
Okay, because that was going to call.
Listen, I listen to murder podcasts all the time, and that's my biggest fear. And I've seen too many movies like that where I'm like, what if this happens to one of us on our show? How do the rest of us act?
Phone number.
I don't even know where you guys live. I'm just like, excuse me, my internet friend is in danger. Can you please?
Hello, 911. There's a problem in another state.
Have you guys been watching Unfriend or whatever that movie was?
Yes.
Dark web.
Probably. I watched too many scary movies.
But no, I'm okay. I think it's just Thor getting angry. I mean, he's not here. No, but he's really thundering over there. I don't know. It's just there's been a thunderstorm coming, so that's why the.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
yes, so we'll be back next week, and then if I don't show up, you know what happened.
Oh no,
you're gonna be here.
But anyway, all right. Anything else, ladies?
That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I could see we had a pretty good following, and that was awesome. And thanks again to having Harriet. I hope we get to do more of that.
Right.
Also read this. Everybody should read this.
Yes, March by John Lewis. As a matter of fact, we may actually want to do a review episode of that at some point.
We should. That'd be good.
Yeah, because and this is I don't want to be a total creep, but Andrew Aiden is pretty handsome.
Hey, that's okay.
I'm just saying, he's a very talented person, but he's also very handsome. Like, you know.
I can't say he's great, but he's also very handsome. Like whispering into your breath, but also.
Like, you know, we're in awesome con. I was actually just walking past his like table from like back there. I'm like, you know, like Jess and just like, why are we going through this? I'm like, shush, Jess, let's go.
I would be the same. That's why we all need to go to a con together. And
we'll just by every table.
I'll get my phone and like whatever, like that the selfie stick, and I'll just film us like live walking through Comic-Con.
But see, that's the thing. We need more diverse women creeps, and that's what I'm representing.
Fantastic.
Everyone can be a creep. Doesn't matter who you are.
That's really the moral of this whole episode. We can all be creeps. It's fine. Just don't be a mean creep, right?
Exactly. We're not mean creep. We're like, you know.
We're the nice ones.
Yeah, like what? Okay, all right. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.